Good morning. This is Virtual PBX admin training. This training will last about 30 to 35 minutes. We do record the training, so if you can't stay for the whole time, that's fine. You can always come back later. And that also allows you to share the stream with other staff members who need to become system admins. Feel free to use the chat feature in YouTube to ask questions about the feature as I go over it. The training in general is just to show you where things are. For a lot of step-by-step instructions, you're going to want to use the support link in the show notes and look up the particular feature to get that step-by-step guide, as well as screenshots. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Here you see our dash login page, which is at dash.virtualpbx.com. We need 3 pieces of information in order for you to be able to get logged in. The first is your username. That is your email address, and that should be in all lowercase letters. Your password, which is case sensitive. And then your account name, typically your business name, which is not case sensitive. If you have problems logging in, down here, just above the sign-in bar, there's a forgot your info link. When you click on that, still need your email address. Then we need either your account name or your phone number on the account. Click on reset password. This will send you an email. In the body of the email, click on the link and that will let you change your password. It will then log you back out and then you can enter that password here. And then you can choose to click on remember me. And then you get logged back in. So here you have my dashboard page. Up here at the top, I can click on my name, just to the right of the top center. Opens a big pop-up. So this is my user account page. So for instance, I can change my password here. Now, if I need to change someone else's password, I would do that on the user's page. Over here on the left, I have the account level settings because I'm a system admin. So I can change the time zone and language for the entire account, for example. Right, so that way your voicemail timestamps are correct. Add-ons. You can add additional features to your Dash account. This includes things like virtual text forward. There's multiple auto attendants, dynamic caller ID, and advanced reporting. These will have an additional fee associated with them. So there'll be a pop-up letting you know what that fee is. So you have to confirm it or cancel, and then you don't add that feature. Over here on the left, we have your billing portal. You click on that. There's a link here. This will take you to the billing portal itself, which is where you would go to update the credit card information, see previous invoices. And then below that, any system admin can come here and click on cancel. And then click on the red cancel box to the bottom right. It'll ask you a few questions. You basically fill that out, and then the account will close at the end of its current billing cycle. When you're done, click on the close box here to the top right, takes you back to the dashboard. So top right, got your name. To the right of your name, you have a D&D toggle, stands for do not disturb. When you click it on, calls to you are going to voicemail. It's not for the entire account. Little phone icon here. This opens up a new tab, takes you to webphone.virtualpbx.net. If you have a web phone device on your user, and this is a VoIP phone, that page, you can log in with your Dash information, and you can use Chrome or Firefox on your computer to make and receive calls. The little chat bubble here, this opens up a new tab, takes you to virtualtext.app. This has its own Dash login information, or actually its own login information, excuse me. This is what you would use to make use of SMS, right? Business SMS. Little question mark icon here. This opens up a chat window at the bottom right of your browser window. This lets you speak to one of our support team members so they can walk you through a particular feature. Little hamburger icon here, 3 horizontal lines. This gets you to other Dash features. We'll touch on these briefly, but most of them I'm going to refer to that support link. And then the arrow icon to the right. is your logout button. Now I'm going to jump down here to the center. My total users, I have 4 people on my account. These are people who make and receive calls. Most of our accounts are built on a per user basis, so the more users you have, the higher your bill. Then I have my total devices, which is 13, and a breakdown of the kinds of devices. The main things to keep aware of is VoIP phones. So the soft phone, web phone, and SIP phone, those can increase your bill depending on your plan. Right? Some plans include 1 VoIP phone per user. Other plans do not. Additional VoIP phones are typically $9.99 a month each, plus E911 fee. Unregistered devices just means I have just turned off devices here on my dashboard. Basically, I'm temporarily not using them. Then I have my total numbers. I have 12 phone numbers on this account. Your account includes at least 1 main number, and then on some plans, you get an additional local number per user. So I'm obviously paying an overage per number, and that's actually $4.99, I believe, per number per month. Conference bridge, I've enabled the conference bridge on 2 of my users. Over here to the right, my main number block, these numbers act the same way. They're going to the same part of my system. They're all gonna, in this case, they're all gonna have the same ingredient. My conference room number, I have 1 conference room number. You can have multiple if you want, but they go to the same set of conference rooms. And that's everyone, even your staff would have to call that to join a conference. Fax box number, you can have 1 main fax box number. That's your inbound fax number. It also allows you to have a fax box that you edit to enable outbound faxing if you're so inclined. The company directories, there's 2 links here. One is CSV, just downloads a CSV file you can open with your favorite spreadsheet program. Has your staff members, their user, the names, their extensions, their devices, email addresses. The softphone link is for use with the VirtualPBX desktop softphone application, right? So if you're using our softphone app on a Mac or Windows PC, you can download this file and then upload it to your softphone. And in your contact list, it will show your other staff members and the status of their VirtualPBX softphones, right? So you can tell who's on a call using the VirtualPBX softphone. Web store or VirtualPBX store. This opens a new tab, takes you to store.virtualpbx.com, where you would order a new VoIP phone. Account realm, every account has its own realm. It's one of the 3 pieces of information used to program a third-party softphone, and it's also part of outbound faxing, which we'll get into later. I'm going to skip back up here towards this blue bar. We have the caller ID. This pull down allows you to select any of your main numbers. This number becomes your default number for your VoIP phones in terms of their outbound caller ID. Hold music, you can upload your own media files, .wav or .mp3 up to 1 megabyte in size, Just click the upload button here, click browse to find the file, and then click the up arrow icon. This hold music is after a call has come into your system. One of your staff members has picked up the call on their VoIP phone and then press hold on their VoIP phone. That's when this media file plays. It becomes the default hold music for your entire staff. Now, ours is part of main number, but we don't want to get into main number until we've actually added users and groups, etc. So with that in mind, over here on the left, we'll click on users. Here's your user page. People with a blue suit icon, these are your system admins, right? So they can do all the stuff we're talking about. Dante, who's got the little gray person icon, he's a standard user. He's very limited access. Like he can check his voicemail and a few other minor things. Up here at the top is where you would click add user to add more people to your account. You fill out the form, right? First name, last name, pretty easy to do. Email address you use for login, this is unique to each user, right? So you cannot reuse an email address for multiple people. This is how the system communicates with your staff, right? Password resets, voicemail notifications. Create a password for the user, and then enter an extension number for the user. The system starts off with extension 1000, so it'll say the next available is 1001, 1002, etc. You can enter in whatever you wish. The system will automatically create a voicemail box for this new user, and we recommend keeping that checked. Here's your option to include that user in the user directory. The main thing to know about that is they need to record their name with the system as part of their voicemail box creation. But once they do that, then they'll show up in the user directory. You can change that at any time. Send emails to an alternate address. So if you want those voicemail notifications, etc., to go to a different email address than the one they use for login, you would click on the box here and then enter that different email address in the box provided. This is something you can also change at any time. And then here, this last option, send credentials to the user. Just put a check mark here. So that way, when you click on create user, they get an email welcoming them to the Dash account, and it has their login information. And then create user and add another is refreshing the box. The new user you just created also still gets that email. Once a user is created, you can click on their name and you can change their name if necessary. Like if you've made a typo like I have done before in the past. You can also click here to change their credentials, right? So you can change their password, their email address. You can also have the system send them a password reset email as well. Here's your option to change their voicemail box PIN number. Just enter 4 digits and then save changes. Here's your option to send to an alternate address, and then here's the option to be in the user directory. Over here on the right-hand side, little person icon here, this pull down lets you change a user into an admin or an admin into a user. Little clock icon pull down, this lets you change the time zone for this user, right? So that way their voicemail timestamps are correct for them. Little flag icon here, this pull down will let you change the display language for the user, English, French, German, or Russian. The ringing time default is 20 seconds. Perfectly fine for landlines or VoIP phones. If you have a user who's only using cell phones, you'd probably want to increase this to 30 seconds. And then any changes you make, click on Save Changes. The extension box, click on this, so shows the extension. If you want to add additional extensions, you can do so here, and then enter that new extension number if you want to have a user with multiple extensions. Phone numbers, users can have their own phone numbers. If you add a phone number to a user, just be aware that that phone number is available 24/7. It does not have hours of operation. For the specifics on adding a phone number, please use the support link and do a search for adding phone number, or even DID phone numbers for adding numbers directly to a user. Devices, you can add, we recommend adding devices directly to a user. It just saves you a step. Instead of adding them into the devices tab and then having to come back and add them to a user. The main one I want to go over here is adding a VirtualPBX soft phone. This is the only place you can do it, is directly here on the user. So you would click on the device box, you would click on new device, and then you would select a soft phone. Anytime you add a web phone or soft phone, you're going to get this warning message. Please make sure you read it at least once. And then click close. Then you get a big box popping up here shortly. And it defaults to adding a third-party soft phone, right? You're using somebody else's soft phone app. And that's fine if you want to do that. However, if you want to use a VirtualPBX soft phone, down here below the view configuration guide, it says a toggle, right? It says use third-party application. Click on that, it flips it. So now it says use VirtualPBX application. So now you just need to give it a device name, right? Bob's phone, or, locate, or like web phone or whatever, or like, warehouse phone, right? Click on create device and then click on save changes. When you click on save changes, this user, Dante in this case, he'll get an email saying his VirtualPBX soft phone is ready. In the body of the email, he's going to have his login information for use with the soft phone app, as well as download links. So he can download the app to his relevant device. And then he's good to go. But again, this is the only place you can add the VirtualPBX soft phone on the account. Next up, we have user features. Most of these I'll just touch on briefly. A couple I'll go in a little in greater detail. Right. So first up, we have caller ID number. This is for users with their own phone number, and you want that phone number to be their outbound caller ID for their VoIP phones. All right. Voicemail box. Most users will have an active voicemail box. Voicemail boxes can hold up to 100 messages. After that, they are full and cannot accept any more. You can call into your voicemail box and listen to your voicemail messages that way, as well as delete them that way. You can also go to the user portal, log in to your web page, and under the menu icon, choose the user portal. You can listen to your voicemail messages there and download and delete them as well. Now, by default, this toggle is active, meaning we are sending, when we send the email notification saying, hey, you have a new voicemail, there's an MP3 attachment that you can just click on and listen to the voicemail directly in your email. That doesn't delete it from your voicemail box. Now, as an admin, you can come here and choose to put a check mark here, which means after we send out that notification, that voicemail message is deleted from the system, so this voicemail box doesn't become full. Follow me. This is for users with multiple devices. Now, this user has 3 devices, which means when a call comes into them right now, all 3 of their devices ring at the same time, right? Until they pick up one of them. Now, when I click enable here, it shows me those 3 devices, and I have to choose which ones I'm going to allow to use. So then you just, uncheck the devices you want. You get a little green bar. Click and drag the bars to the right to give them a ring time. I can also click distribute, so that way it rings them in order. This little box up here at the end, that's the total ring time. Its default is 120 seconds. You can change that up or down as you need to. But again, remember, this is something you have to set up for the user, not something they can set themselves. But when you're done, click on Save Changes. Fax box, you can choose to have a user have their own fax box. You can add a specific phone number for them or a new extension. I recommend a phone number. Conference bridge, this allows us users to host or moderate a conference. Call forwarding, this allows for call forwarding, so like you can send calls to a cell phone number. Now, if you've added a cell phone as one of their normal devices, you don't need to enable call forwarding. This will be to another number they don't normally use. Customized call recording. This allows you to record your inbound and outbound calls to this user. And then you would go to recordings.virtualpbx.com to listen to those recordings. Music on hold. This allows you to have a specific hold music for users, right? So you can have your sales team have one set of hold music, and then the rest of the staff have a different one that you set up under the dashboard. Do not disturb, you would enable this for a user that you don't want to get calls, right? So if someone had to leave for a family emergency, you can just do this, and that way their phone's not ringing off the hook. Hot desking is a VoIP phone feature. This allows users to log into a VoIP phone that they're sitting at, right? So it's for a shared office environment or hybrid scheduling. Say I come into the office on Tuesday, sit down at desk number 2, pick up the phone, enter my hot desk ID, and I can now take calls at that phone that I'm sitting at. End of my day, I log out of the phone. Again, for specifics of these, please use the support page link there and do a search for that specific feature. Next up, we have groups. These are departments or ring groups or hunt groups, right? People who answer calls about a similar topic. Now, up here at the top, we have add group. You need to give it a name, right? And then an extension number. And then click and drag your staff members who you want to be in that group, and then click on create group. Once a group is created, you can click on the name at any time, and you can change the name. You also have group call attempts. This is how many times the system will offer that inbound call to the members of your group. There's little arrows here to the far right where you can increase or decrease that as necessary. You click on Save Changes if you make any changes, or delete group if you don't need it any longer. Next up, we have the members box. This shows who I've assigned to the group and how I am offering calls to them. This is referred to as blast ringing or ring all, right? And whoever answers the call first gets it. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if 2 people answer the call at the same time, only one of them gets a call. So one of them will hear dead air. So something to be aware of. In an office environment, pretty easy to tell when someone else got the call. You don't have to worry about it. For remote working, you might have to have something like Slack or Teams. Now, up here at the top, you can click distribute. So now it always rings in this order. One thing to keep in mind about groups, though, is that if Dante's on a call and a call comes into the group, he is still offered the call initially, even if he's already on a call, right? The system is not going to skip him. And after 40 seconds, then it rolls on to David. Now, as an admin, I can come in here and I can extend the ring times for David and Jeanette, so that way later callers aren't waiting on hold for quite as long. I can click and drag people and change the order and then click distribute again, right? So if Dante is on a special project, right, I would want him at the end, so that way he's not getting disturbed as often. I can add more users down here, click distribute. This box here is the total ring time. It defaults to 120 seconds. You can edit this as you need to, excuse me, right? So if I change it here and I changed it to 600, so that's why it got shrunk so small, but I can click distribute again and now it equalizes out. Click remove if you don't want that person in the group anymore, right? They had a change in role. Any changes, click on save changes. The extension box, again, this is what your staff would use to transfer calls to this group. You can always add an additional extension number if you need to, enter that extension number, and then save changes. Groups can have their own phone numbers. Just like on users, a phone number on a group is available 24/7. No hours of operation or anything like that. You can add from spare or by new, and again, use that support page link to get the specific instructions. Group features. First up, we have what is this? Oh, ring back. Sorry. So when calls come into the group, right, your group members' phones start to ring, and that ringing sound is then piped back to your inbound caller. Now, if you don't want that ringing sound to be sent to the caller, you want a different file to play, you would enable this feature here and then upload a .wav or .mp3 file that you want the system to play. Now, the main thing to know is that the system will not loop your media file for you. So you need to make sure that the total playtime of your media file meets or exceeds the total ring time you set for the group, right? And the group defaults to 120 seconds. So if you have it at least 2 minutes, you're probably going to be good unless you adjusted the ring time of the group itself. Next up, we have next action, which is if your staff members don't answer the call, what do you want the system to do with that inbound caller? So first you would enable up here, and then this pull down is something that's already on your system. Another group, a specific user, a device, or a voicemail box, which is typically what is used. Allow call forwarding. When you enable this, that means your users can make use of call forwarding, right? Send the group calls to their cell phones, for example, if they don't already have a cell phone on their user. Caller ID prepend. This is a VoIP phone feature. This allows you to add additional text or numbers that shows up on your staff members' VoIP phones in front of the caller ID, right? So customer Mary calls into my group, goes to my staff member Bob. On Bob's phone, right, on his VoIP phone, he'll see whatever text I put it here, right, on his phone, and then customer Mary's phone number. So it's a way to let him know what the call is about ahead of time. All right, so with groups and users in place, we can go ahead and click on main number here on the left. Your main company numbers, right? These are your general numbers that your staff or your customers call by default. You can add from spare or by new if you need to add more. You can unassign if you don't want it to be a main number any longer. Once you have numbers in place, you have office hours strategy. You start off on new accounts as 24-hour open office, but you can choose to do custom office hours. And once you do, then for each day of the week that you're open, put a check mark in front of the day, and then set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. You also have the option here to be closed for lunch. Just put a check mark here and set your lunch hours in that 24-hour military time. Click on Save Changes. Office holidays, if you're closed for holidays, put a check mark here. Over here to the right, you have Add Holiday. It's a little pull down. You have single day, date, range, and advanced. Each one would create a new row. Right? So single day, like I have here for Christmas Day, you give it a name, month, and date, save changes. Right? Date range, like I have here for holiday, gave it a name, a start date, and an end date, save changes. Advanced, I have here for Memorial Day, I gave it a name, choose the month. The second pull down, you have first through last, as well as fifth, then the day of the week, save changes. If you need to remove a holiday, click on the little trash icon here to the far right, and then save changes. Incoming call handling. So for my main numbers, how do I want the system to handle calls during my open hours, during my after hours, or during my holidays? So during my open hours, calls on my main numbers are going to go here to my virtual receptionist. This is a link that I can click on. It's going to open up a big box. On the left-hand side is my main menu. These are what people press on their phones to navigate through my phone system. I click on Add Route to give me additional menu options. That first pull down, you have a 0 through 9, the star key, and the default action. All right, that's the maximum amount of menu options you can have. The second pull down are things that are already on your system, right? Users, groups, call queues, voicemail boxes, etc. Right, so that's why you want to have these things created first, so that way you're not going back and forth. Then you have your greeting options, text to speech, just type it in, system reads it off. Upload your own file, right? .wave.mp3 up to 1 megabyte. Upload, save changes. Choose from something that's already on the system. This pull down will show all your media files on the account. Select the one you want, then update, save changes. Record it over the phone. By default, the system wants you to use a VoIP phone. If you don't want to use a VoIP phone, then you need to go down here to settings, and where it says allow outside recording, turn that on, right? That allows you to call in from any phone. You still need the PIN number. That's specific to the time of day. And then record it over the phone. Professional recording, when you click order, it opens a new tab, takes you to Snap Recordings, a separate company. You order from them, they send you the email with the file, and then you would upload your own file. The settings here, number of tries on missed dial, right? This is how many times the customer can make an inbound, or the inbound customer can make a mistake, right? So with one attempt here, or one missed dial, they get 2 total attempts. Ring your timeout. This is how much time the system listens for additional button presses, or if people are entering extension numbers. For allow outside recording, once you're done recording your main message over the phone, we recommend turning that off. Allow dynamic extensions. By default, this is on, and this just means if someone enters a valid extension number, the system will transfer the call. And if you turn it off, they can only do your menu options. And then suppress playing of invalid entry. If your inbound caller keeps making a mistake, eventually the system says, we don't recognize your entry. If it has a default action on your system here, then the system will transfer that call to them or to that default action. If you don't, then the system says we did not recognize this entry and then says goodbye. In either case, if you don't want that message to play, you would click this to turn that message off. Any changes you make to your main menu, your greetings, or your settings, click on Save down here at the bottom. When you get back to incoming call handling, click on Save Changes. I know I went through that quickly. You can use the support page link in the show notes. Do a search for incoming call handling. It will go into it in even more detail. Oops. After hours, I'm using the second option, which is the live operator answer option. This first pull down, something on the system, typically users, groups, or a specific device. If no one answers, then it goes to the virtual receptionist for this time of day. After hours, so I have different menu options and greetings. So save and save changes. Holidays, this first pull down is anything on the system, right? So you can offer it to a user, group, queue, device, etc. I instead chose the last option, which is just go straight to voicemail. The second pull down, choose a voicemail box on the account, and then save changes. Main conference room number, you can have multiple conference room numbers if you want, but their calls are still going to the same set of conference rooms. You can also click on the custom greeting to type in a text-to-speech greeting for the conference room. Main fax box, you can have one main fax box number, but once you have one, you can edit the fax box here. Inbound notification, designed to put in an email address, right? So anytime a fax comes in, this email address gets an email saying you have a new fax, has a date, time, and a PDF attachment. Just be aware if someone dials your fax box number, say from their cell phone, right? They hear fax tones and they hang up. This person gets an email saying there was a failed inbound fax attempt. Email permissions. In the box to the right, you can enter in either an email address or your company's email domain. So in this case, anyone at VirtualPBX can send a fax out on this account, even though they're not a user on the account. To do so, the instructions are right here. Create an email like you normally do, at the email address you use for login on your Dash account. In the to field, +1, area code and phone number, little @ symbol, put your account realm. Attach a PDF or TIFF file and click send. The system will not send anything that's in the subject line or the body of the email. It's only looking at the to field, the from field, and the attachment. One attachment per email, one recipient per email. All right, auto attendance. This is an add-on feature. This allows you to have secondary attendance. We typically see this because people want to do sub-menuing, like one for English, two for Spanish, or they have multiple businesses, right? And each of those separate businesses have their own phone numbers and own greetings, etc. Up here at the top, you click on Add Attendant. Pretty simple. You give it a name, give it an extension number, click on Create Attendant. Now, when you create an attendant, when you click on the name, it defaults to be this way, right? It's not available in main menu, meaning it's a standalone attendant, separate business. If I click on this toggle, now it's available in my main menu. So it can be a menu option if I want it to be. It can also be a next action location for your groups. Auto attendants can have their own phone numbers. You can add from spare or buy new. There's an extension number box here. You can add multiple extension numbers. Your customers probably would never know these extension numbers for the auto attendants specifically, but your staff would use it to send calls to the right attendant. Little wrench icon here under settings. You have open hours, after hours, and holidays. This matches what you set up under the main number. But beyond that, they're all going to a virtual reception. So you need to set up menu options and a greeting for each of these times. And then you would click on Save Changes. Devices tab shows your devices in use. Green means it's registered, so we can send a call to that device, right? Red, not registered, meaning they're not logged in or they're having some sort of network problem. You can add devices here. The main thing is you can't add the VirtualPBX soft phone on this page. You have to do that directly on the user. One thing I do want to point out here is under the wrench icon here, under Edit, if you go to Advanced, Emergency Caller ID, for each VoIP device, you can add a specific phone number for the specifics of E911, right? And you can add a specific address to each of your phone numbers and then assign it to a specific VoIP phone. So that way, your staff member, Bob, who works from home, you can set up a phone number with his address only for the purposes of 911, right? And then assign it to his VoIP phone. So if he ever has to call 911 from his VoIP phone, the correct address is sent to emergency services. The Greetings tab, this shows all your media files on the account, right? So you got the name of the file, you have source, TTS means text to speech, excuse me. Upload means you uploaded the file, recording means it was recorded over the phone. You have a little play column here and a play button. This allows you to listen to the greeting directly in your browser. You have a download option here. So for some reason that doesn't play in your browser, you can download it and play it back on your media player on your device. This is also a good idea to do for your main greeting so you have a local backup. And then you have a little wrench icon here, which you can click on, and this allows you to change the name of a greeting so it's something that's easy for you to recognize, or you can delete it if you no longer need that greeting at all. Numbers takes you to your numbers and use page. So you can see where everything's assigned. You can't unassign or assign numbers here. This is, in fact, where you would click on the little gear icon here and set up the E911 for specific phone number. Spare numbers, these are numbers you're not currently using. If you put a check mark here, the delete option will show up. So this is how you would then remove a number if you no longer want it. By numbers would just be adding more spare numbers to your account, just to this page. Port is moving a phone number, right? So you'd be moving a number from AT&T to VirtualPBX. Go through this process. Use the show notes. It has all the screenshots because I can't show them all here. Local numbers can take 1 to 2 weeks on average. Toll-free numbers, 3 to 5 business days. Voicemail boxes shows all your voicemail boxes on the account. Anything with an entry here under this third column, these were the voicemail boxes created with the user. However, you can create your own voicemail boxes up here at the top. You just need to give it a name, give it a voicemail box number, and a PIN number, and then click on Create Voicemail Box. One thing to know, a voicemail box number is not the same as an extension number. Right? So if someone calls my main number and enters 3333, they're not getting to this voicemail box. They'll get an invalid entry message. Now, the voicemail box number and PIN number, this is what you need to call into the voicemail box to listen to messages as well as update the greeting. Under Advanced, you've got greeting and media, so you can upload files directly here to the voicemail boxes, right? MP3 or WAV. The pull downs will allow you to select media files that are already on the account. If you have something selected in media and temporary, only the temporary plays. Right? The media file will not play again until you set temporary back to none. Right? Temporary is for that out of office or vacation message. Recipients, your user voicemail boxes have a built-in recipient, right? The email address used for login. But for any voicemail box, you can come here, click on Add Recipient, and just add additional email addresses. Keep clicking Add until you're done, and then save changes. And then options. It lets me click on it. There we go. You click on already set up when you have a media file in place and recipients, right? And a voicemail greeting, right? That way it won't get changed. You would uncheck it if you want to change it over the phone. Beyond that, you would want to make sure you have the attached messages to email, and then delete if you don't want that voicemail box to ever get full, right? So this is my support voicemail box. I never want to get full because then my customers would be unnerved, right? If they couldn't leave a message for some reason. Text forward, this allows you to have phone numbers accept inbound text messages and then forward them on. This is not for two-way text communication. You would click here, add number. You have to have a spare number to assign to it first, and then choose an email address or a webhook, and then click on create forward. After that, you can assign the number where you want it. Right? You can assign it to a group, a user, main number, whatever. Virtual extensions, this is a plan-specific feature. This allows you to add additional extension numbers without adding users. There are some, it's cheaper than adding a user on the accounts that have it. However, there are limitations. For one, these virtual extensions can only have one device. And because they're not users, they can't be assigned to a group or a call queue, nor can they have the VirtualPBX cell phone because there's no email address associated with them. Right? So if you click on up here at the top, you give it a name and an extension number, click on create, and then you would add a device. Call logs shows your call history on the account. You have today, this week, this month. You can also go custom. You can go back up to 1 year. And then click filter. And you can see the call history here. Green arrow to the right, that's a call coming into the system. You can click on it to expand it out, see if it reached any devices. Yellow arrow to the left, that's an outbound call from one of your staff members, typically. Little fire extinguisher icon. This will create an email for you, pre-addressed to support@virtualpbx.com, and we'll have the technical details of the call. Please, in the body of the email, type in context about why you're sending it in. Just under this custom field, you can go back up to 1 year. If you need to go back further, you do need to reach out to our support team, and we have to create an escalation to our engineers, but they can only go back up 18 months. So just be aware of that. Then we have feature codes. These are a way for your VoIP phone users to access Dash features directly from their VoIP phones. Obviously, they're here. They're also in the support pages. You can just do search for feature codes or the phone commands cheat sheet. Next up, we're going to go here under the menu icon and go to blacklists. Blacklist is a way for you to block phone numbers from reaching your staff members. Right, so those inbound calls from those phone numbers, we get a busy tone. Please use the show notes and use that support page to do a search for blacklist on the full steps on how to do that. Call recording. This is where you would see your call recordings. Now, this account is set up with AWS, so I'm seeing the AWS recordings here. Basically, that means I'm storing my call recordings on Amazon Web Services, right? If you have our standard call recording, that call recording tab opens up a new tab and takes you to recordings.virtualpbx.com, which you just log in with your Dash credentials and you can view your recordings there, play them back, download them, etc. Number manager, this just takes you to your spare number page. User portal, every user has access to their own user portal. It defaults you to your voicemail page, right? So you can see it here. Over here to the far right, I can play it back. I can also download it. Little box here at the very front, if I put a check mark here, that's where I change its status. The other thing to know for your users is under settings and devices, right here, that's where they can set up call forwarding on their own. They just need to put +1 area code and number here and then save. Right, so now I'm call forwarding. Once I uncheck it and click save again, now I'm not call forwarding. Webhooks, plan, this is, I believe it's an add-on, but it's definitely a plan-specific feature. But in the show notes, look at the introduction to Zapier webinar. This is programming to some level. It's linking your Dash account to other software, right? Zapier is a prime example because it links to so many other softwares. That's why it's in the show notes. You can also go to developer.virtualpbx.com to see sample code of what we have done in terms of linking Dash to other software. Like you can link into Slack, among other things. SMS registration, you need to go through this process if you want to make use of our business SMS feature. The first page is basically instructions about what it's all about. The second page is what information you're going to need, and then the register button is starting the process. And then the registration status will show you where you're at in terms of do we have the file, is there problems, etc. Call center, this opens up a new tab, takes you to callcenter.virtualpbx.com. This is available on our Ultra plans. These are call queues. If you look in the show notes, you can look at the ACD QUEUES Pro demo, and that will show you what the queues are about. Their queues are a more advanced version of groups. Right? There's more advanced routing options like most idle, right? Who's ever been waiting the longest gets the next call. And the system, like if you're on a call in a queue call, right? Another call comes in, the system skips you. It just goes to the next available member of the queue. Dynamic caller ID. This allows you to create rules to change the outbound caller ID for your VoIP phones. The easiest one is to set up an area code rule, right? So 702, choose a phone number on your account, and that's the phone number that gets presented to the world, right? Your VoIP phones would use that phone number as outbound caller ID. Faxes, this is your fax box manager. This is so it lets you see the various statuses of your fax box, right? Your inbound, outbound, etc. main thing I want to show is here under the outbound fax. If there's a problem, right, it'll show failure. Mouse over the failure, it'll tell you what we encountered. And then the email to fax log, if there's anything in here, there'll be an eyeball icon here to the far right. Click on that, and that will give you details about the error that we had on our side. Reports, this opens up a new tab, takes you to reports.virtualpbx.com, which has its own login information. In the show notes, there should be a link for the advanced reporting demo. If not, you can also just do a search under the support page link. The voicemails, this gets you to your voicemail boxes. And as an admin, you can get to any voicemail box on the account. So that way you can review them if they're full, and right, you can download, or if you in the box here in front, if I can actually click on it here, you can also, as an admin, move a voicemail to a different box, or you can change its status. And then we have integration AWS. This is where you actually configure our system to link with AWS. On this page, we need the account ID or access key, excuse me, the secret access key, and then the bucket that you were sending the files, and then click on create or save changes. And that is everything. I guess I went a little bit too deep on things again. I don't see any questions, so I thank you for your time today, and I'll end the stream. Will be available here again next Tuesday.